I told you there's a battleship hidden inside a mountain? Not a warship floating on water, but one carved deep into the stone. Its massive guns once ready to blow invading fleets out of existence. This is the story of Vladivostok's secret fortress, an engineering marvel lost to time, war, and revolution until now. Tucked in the far eastern corner of Russia, just a stone's throw from Japan and the Pacific Ocean, lies Vladivostok. It might seem remote, but to the Russian Empire, it was priceless. In the late 1800s, Russia had its eyes on the Pacific. Vladivostok was its gateway to the east, and they knew if Japan ever turned hostile, this city would be their last stronghold. So they looked for a way to protect it. Their answer: fortify the surrounding islands, starting with one ominous patch of land, Russky Island. In 1904, Japan and Russia went to war, and it was brutal. While most of the fighting happened around Port Arthur, the Japanese eyed Vladivostok too, but they couldn't take it, not through thick forests, not through the icy waters, and certainly not past the underwater mines and coastal guns guarding the city. Still, the war exposed a hard truth. Russia's Pacific defense was shaky. When they lost Port Arthur, it was clear. Vladivostok couldn't just be strong, it had to be impenetrable. In 1907, Russia officially elevated Vladivostok to the status of a first-class fortress, a title that came with immense resources, military priority, and a mission to build one of the most formidable defense systems on Earth. Just 3 years later, in 1910, construction began on a colossal scale. Over 200 kilometers of military roads were laid across rugged terrain, while vast networks of bunkers, underground tunnels, and fortified trench systems were carved directly into the island's rock. These weren't isolated structures. They were all interconnected, forming a complex web of defenses that worked like the nervous system of a living organism. The engineering was so advanced that many installations were completely camouflaged. In fact, some tunnels were hidden so effectively that even decades later, aerial surveillance failed to detect them. It was a modern battlefield built into the land itself, silent, secret, and waiting for war. But then, disaster. World War I erupted. Resources vanished. Workers were drafted. Supplies dried up. By 1916, only 2/3 of the fortress was complete. Then came 1917, the Russian Revolution. The Tsar was gone. Chaos ruled. The mighty Vladivostok, fortress, abandoned, looted, forgotten. By the 1920s, the fortress was a ghost town, but the world was changing fast. In the 1930s, Japan was on the march, invading China, eyeing Soviet borders, and once again, Vladivostok found itself on the front line. This time, the Soviets had a new idea. Instead of building up, they would build inward. Enter the Vasilev Battery. Engineers didn't just build defenses near the cliffs, they tunneled into them. Think about that. Entire artillery positions embedded in solid rock, shielded from airstrikes and almost invisible from the sea. Tunnels snaked through the mountain. Cannons sat behind hidden doors. Soldiers lived and moved in total secrecy. It was one of the most advanced coastal batteries ever built. But that was just the beginning. In 1934, the Soviets did something no one expected. They took the decommissioned Battleship Poltava, dismantled her giant 12-inch guns, and dragged them onto the cliffs of Russky Island. Then, they buried them. These weren't just static cannons. They were full naval turrets, complete with rotating mechanisms and armored domes. They were installed into solid granite, effectively turning the cliff into a landlocked battleship. A battleship in a mountain. Let that sink in. By the late 1930s, Vladivostok was once again a fortress city. Only this time, its greatest weapons were invisible to the naked eye. If Japan ever tried to launch a naval invasion, they would have been met with a storm of steel from above, below, and within. The sea-facing cliffs of Russky Island were no longer just terrain, they were weapons. Today, the guns are silent. The tunnels echo only with footsteps of the curious. The mountain battleship has long been abandoned, but its legacy remains. Vladivostok's hidden fortress tells a story of desperation, ingenuity, and resilience. It was built to protect a dream of empire, repurposed to defend against new threats. And now it quietly crumbles into the earth it once guarded so fiercely.
Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe my channel.